So, if you die tomorrow, will you then believe in God? When you see Him, because it says every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess that He is King. To confess that after death. To confess that while burning in a lake of fire. But it's just easy to say no. It's not real. It's especially off of your wife with the addiction thing. He said, and you still stand firm in believing in something in the air. Go to lay the blame on anyone. I with when that bridge was broken between God and man. We have to go back and we have to look at all the things that's happened up into this time. But the one thing that we really have to hold on to and grasp onto is the reason all these bad things are happening is to fulfill what God has for us. The reason that there's wars and the reason that all these things are happening is you can go to Matthew and read. He said there'll be wars and rumors of wars and nations will rise against nation. He said all these things must come to pass. And then you'll see the Son of Man coming. But then I ask him, well, why does all the good happen? If you want to blame God for all the in this world that die. They're reaping what they've sown. They're not even able to walk or talk or do anything. How can you sit there and say that you get out of this life what you put into it? Because if that's the case, there's an awful lot of good people die horrible. History, and you see all these countries, you see Christians dying every day. In China right now, someone's dying for having a Bible study in their home. These communist countries are ruled by atheists, by people that don't believe in anything. So how can you not look at a child the way that He accepts it? Because when we praise Him and worship, the how can you believe? I place my believement, my knowing that there's a God, knowing that there's a heaven, and I'm going through a little bit of hell here on earth. Losing your house, She said, can I help you? I said, no, I'm just looking around. I said, but I would like to ask you a question. She said, what's that? I said, whenever I came in here, you had your back turned. She said, oh, okay. I mean, I know what she was thinking. She was thinking, no, I'm robbed. But I said, you had your back turned to me, but yet you knew exactly where I was at in this store. You knew when I walked through the door. I said, how did you know I was here? She said, well, I heard the bell. Well, the bell rang when you walked through the door. I said, you didn't have to turn around to see me, but you believed I was here? She said, is this some kind of, she said, what kind of questions you asking me here? I said, well, I've been in this discussion for quite some time with a guy, and I said, he does not believe in God, and, you know, I walk in here, your back's turned to me. I come over here by the T-shirts. I'm looking. You knew exactly where I was at. I said, it's kind of like God. Automatically, the smile went off of her face, and she just looked. I was like, I heard the bell ring one time, and I knew he was there. And I knew exactly right where he was at. And she looked at me and she said, this store bell rang. You knew a customer had come into the building. I said, there's only one place for me to look. That's straight up. I said, I knew where God was. That whole time, I knew where he was. I said, I didn't have to go searching for him. I didn't have to go looking for him. I didn't have to lift up the rocks and shake bushes. I knew exactly where God was in that moment. He was looking, waiting for me. You didn't have to search this whole store to come find me. You knew exactly where I was at. You knew I was here. You heard the bell. I said, I heard the bell. I knew God was ready. He was waiting and he was willing to forgive me of everything that I've ever done in my life. I said, but I didn't have to go look for him. I knew exactly where he was at. Do you want to buy something? I was like, yeah, mercy.